Okay, hello everyone. We're going to start now. So can everyone hear me and see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure if everyone is here yet, but for right now, can everyone please open up your Scratch account? So I sent a video out, a YouTube tutorial or a tutorial out to you guys to create a Scratch account. And if you could please pull that up while we're waiting for the last few people to get in, that would be great.
I had a scratch class but it's already over.
Okay, but I think you should still have your Scratch account available. Okay, can everyone raise their hand once you have pulled up your Scratch account? Okay, so Christine, Ruby. For the rest of you who haven't raised your hands, if you have any questions, please ask them now and I can answer them for you.
Actually, how about this? If anyone has a question about logging into Scratch or setting it up, just please send me a chat.
Okay, it looks like almost everyone has opened up their Scratch account, so I'm going to lower all of your hands right now. Okay, so now we're going to begin. Hi everyone, my name is Jacqueline. I live in the US and I'm going to be your instructor for this Scratch course. And joining me today, we have Eric, who's going to be helping you guys with questions in the chat. So Eric, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Eric. I'm from Washington State, and I am a rising sophomore at a high school.
Okay. So
It is
now
so
we're going.
laggy.
Sorry?
Oh, I believe some of the kids here are from China, so I think maybe we could also translate in Chinese.
Yeah, if any of you need any translation help, we can help with that also. And if you have any questions during the duration of this course, please ask it in the chat, and Eric can try to get to as many questions as possible, and I will try to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
It says Scratch. Okay, so this is what your Scratch website should be looking like. If you have signed into your Scratch account, your username should be in the top right, okay? So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about what is Scratch. So Scratch is a block-based programming language that you can use to create games, and you can also share these games to the Scratch website. So you can see a lot of people have done over here. This is games that other people have created and shared to the world. And in this course, we will be teaching you the fundamentals of Scratch and also going to be making a little bit of games in between so that you know how pretty much every single block works and you'll have a solid understanding of how to use Scratch and what you can build with it. So, is everyone here signed into their Scratch account?
Yes.
Okay, So first, we're going to first create a project. So if you look at the top over here, next to the Scratch logo, click on the Create button. And that should take you to this blue screen. And once this loads, you'll see the Scratch interface, which I will be discussing right now. Okay. So does everyone see this? This is going to be basically how you're creating your games for within Scratch. So what we call this is a user interface, and for Scratch, this is what the Scratch user interface looks like. So in the top right, this area, this is the game area, and this is where your game can be displayed while you're coding. So you see this cat here. All the boundaries of this square, this is the entire game area. You can also click the maximize buttons in the rear corner to full screen the game. So if I click this button right over here, it makes my game bigger so I can see it better. And you can also click one of these buttons to make your game area smaller or bigger. But I like this view, so you can keep it like this also. And over here, you see we have the start and stop buttons. So this green flag says, if you can see a little like black box next to my cursor, it says go. And so that's the green flag. And when you hover over the red octagon, you can see a little stop sign. So that's what's going to make our game go and stop. Underneath this game area, you have basically what you can control all of your game characters. So right now, I'm clicking on the cat right here. Each individual character that you create in Scratch, that's called a sprite, okay? And in this area, you can decide, you can rename your sprite. So I can call this, let's say, cat, okay? And then I can decide to show this cat or hide it right down here. And over here is basically the position of my cat. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with these yet, but they're basically coordinate planes on this game area, and you can set them to be in the center, which is just a 0, 0. What you can also do is set the size of the cat. So right now, the cat is at its original size, 100%. So think of this as just like full size. And if I wanted to make it smaller, I can put a smaller size, or I can put a really big size like that. And lastly, this down here sets the direction of the cat. So right now the cat is pointed to the right. But if you move this, the cat can point down, to the left, or up, any of these directions. And the directions, it's going to be in degrees. So 90 degrees means it's facing the right way. So now we're going to skip this middle area for a little bit, and we're going to go to this area where the code is. So let's first look at these code blocks. If you can see to the very left of your screen, you have all of these different colors of coding blocks that you can use for your game. So the first one is the motion. So if I pull one of these blocks out, it will just make my cat move. The looks, which is the second tab on the purple tab, this is what can make your cat change a costume. You can make it look a different color, or you can make it say something, or you can make it show or hide, like what we did down here. Next is a lighter, like pink purple color. The third one down, this is what plays the sound. So in this Scratch course, we're also going to be making animations, things like that. So sounds would really make your animation come come to life. So this is what we will be using to, let's say, make the cat say meow, right? And then the fourth tab down, this is what we call the events tab. So this has blocks that can see when certain events occur, and basically any code that's under this, it will happen when a certain event occurs. So if you recognize the symbol from before, this green flag, if I pull it out, this means that whatever's under here will play when I press this green flag. Now there's nothing underneath this, so the cat won't move. But just keep in mind, this is probably the most important block in the entire Scratch interface, because this is really what makes your characters move when you start. Okay, so the fifth one down is what we have control. These are pretty complicated concepts that we'll get into later, but it basically can manage control flow of your program, such as loops, which makes something go like basically in circles forever, and also conditionals, which are these things over here, and I will explain them later. Now if we move to the lighter blue, this is sensing, and under this category they have blocks that can detect things such as if your character is touching another character, or if, let's say, you're playing a game and you want to press down an arrow key and you continuously press that, then something underneath that part of code will probably happen. Operators, you might recognize these from like math class, because you have addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. These are all used if you want to figure out, let's say, if the level that you're on and the score that if it matches a certain value. So let's say this block right here. So this block, in here you can put something. So let's just do an easy example. So let's say if my score was 5 and the score that I want it to be is 5. So you see that this 5 is equal to 5. And we can do something really important with this later. And yeah, that's pretty much what these blocks are for. And then the last two down here are variables, which we can use. Variables we can use to keep score. And then my blocks are a more complicated concept. They're called methods, and we will get into all of that later. So does anyone have any questions so far about the code blocks that we have? Okay, wait, did someone have a question?
No.
Okay. Yeah, just remember, if you have any questions, type them in the chat and Eric will answer them.
No.
So next, if you click on this tab over here, so just now we were on the code tab. Now let's go to the costumes tab. So this is what we see as the costumes page. Costumes are basically what the sprite can look like, and we can have multiple costumes, create animations or different looks on our sprite. So right now, this cat, it's on costume 1. It's named costume 1 over here. And then if I click on the one below it, costume number 2, you can see that the cat kind of like changes shape. So at first it looks like it's walking, right? But then in the second costume, the cat looks like it's running. So you can use these in animations to help your characters come alive. And lastly, over here we have the sounds tab. This is where we can have different sound effects, music, And won't be using this too much, but for animations, it is really helpful. And down here, we can also choose, create a new sound for our cat by either, let's say, recording our own sound or even choosing from a large library that Scratch already has. So as you can see here, I just clicked on this, I just hovered over this and clicked on the search bar, and a bunch of sounds just come up that you can test. Okay, so next, I'm going to go back to the code here. We're not going to look at this yet, but let's talk about kind of like the top part of your Scratch. So first, we have the Scratch logo over here, which can take us to the home page. So this is what is called the home page of your Scratch account. This globe symbol here, it's kind of like internet globe symbol. This is what you can use to change your language. So right now I have it set to English, but I can. There's a lot of other languages that you can set to. Like most of you might want to do Chinese if you want, but I'm just going to keep it at English right now. And this file button, you can create a new project. Yeah, do you have any questions? Lillian, do you have any questions?
It's like when we make the thing, do you like have to use the sound, or do you just like?
We'll talk about the sound part.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about this partly. You don't have to use the sounds in every program that you have, but sometimes if you're creating a very simple project, then you don't need to include sounds. But we will try to cover every single block here. Okay. Okay, moving on. So for the File tab, you can also download this project. And if someone doesn't have a Scratch account and they come into this course, they can download it to their computer and upload it the next time. In Edit, you can turn on or turn off turbo mode, which runs blocks without updating the screen, but we won't do that for this. This is the Tutorials tab. It will take you to a bunch of tutorials that Scratch has made. Here, over here, you see this kind of like text box. This is where you can name your project. So right now, my project is untitled, so I can name it to class for right now. So as you can see here, it updated up here, and now it says Scratch class. Next over here, we have the share button. And if you remember on the Scratch home screen, we saw a bunch of projects that other people have created. Yeah, so basically they shared the project onto the Scratch interface. So now we can play those projects. So right now your project is...
I don't have
Sorry, could you repeat that?
share button.
Oh, you don't have... Okay, if you don't have the share button, that probably means you're not signed into your account right now. But we'll fix that at the end of the lesson if you're willing to stay on. Okay. So the share button lets you share your project with. The button right here, it says, it's like this wheel turning thing, and it says see project page. This brings you to how people would view your project when they first open it. So they would see the game screen, and they will also, you can also like type instructions for for the people that want to play your game, you can just say move the cat, and then notes and credits. You can do that later. So right now you see this screen, but if you want to go back to like the coding screen, the Scratch user interface, just click this blue button right here, and it says See Inside. Okay. So this button right here, this folder button, it takes you to all of the projects that you have done. So if I click on it, you'll see all the projects that I've done in my account. Okay, and right over here, if you have signed into your Scratch account, this is where Scratch will display your username. And under this, you can view your profile, all your projects, your account settings, and finally you can sign out of your account if you want to. So I know that was a lot of questions right now. You can type them in the chat. Okay, so I think no one has any questions, we can start coding now. Tell me what I said before. How can we, let's say if I want to make this cat do anything, and I wanted to press the green button to do it. Can someone tell me where I can find that block to make this cat do what I want it to do? Okay, Ruby?
At the events.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first one.
Okay, good. So at the events, this first block, if you go down, so the default is motion. If we go down to the fourth one, the yellow one, and we see events here, we choose the first one when green flag clicked, then that will bring up this block. Okay, so first, let's try to make this cat move steps. So by default, the sprites are all pointing to the right. So as sprites area, the cat selected. This is very important that you have the sprite that you want selected, or else the code that you write under here might not go to the sprite that you want. So be sure that you have this sprite. So the first block that we're going to use is this block, the move 10 steps block. Okay, so this block will allow the cat to move forward. So now if we run this code, we could click the green button. You can see that the cat moves a little bit every single time. So let's keep on clicking it, and you can see that the cat eventually makes it to the end. But what if I wanted to make this cat move, let's say backwards? Let's say I want the cat is here, but I want the cat to move this way instead of this. Can you make the cat do to make it move left? That's the first challenge that we have for you today. So I want you to make the cat move backwards instead of forward. So we're going to give you about 1 minute, and raise your hand raise your hand when you're done with this, so we know that. We're just going to take 1 minute to try. So just now what we did was we made the cat go forward, but now I want you to make the cat go backwards. So what can you change to the code that we have right now to make the cat go backwards? And make sure you raise your hand once you're done, so we know when to move on. Okay, right now only 2 people have finished. Okay, I'll give you guys 15 more seconds and I'll show the solution to this challenge. Okay, I'm going to lower all the hands now and show you guys the solution. So in order to make this cat move backwards, what we have to do is just change the number of steps to negative. Right now it's positive 10 steps. Right now it's 5 steps, so it'll move forward. But if we put a negative sign in front of it, let's see what happens. So let's try and start the cat over here and run the code. So now the cat will move backwards. Okay, and something to note for the move by steps, this will only work if your cat is facing forward. If you wanted the cat to move to the right, this will work when the cat is facing at 90 degrees. So let's say if you try to move the cat a certain number of steps, but let's turn the cat like this way, downwards. If we try to run it, it will go down instead of right. Sometimes I want to move this cat to the right instead of down, and we'll talk about how to fix that later. But for now, that's this block, that move a certain number of steps block. So we can do something very similar, but instead of clicking the main flag, there's also another block under the events tab called when the key is pressed. So that's the fourth one, second one down, so when space key pressed. So if you click on this, can see a drop-down menu of a bunch of different keys on your keyboard. So let's just first. So once we click the space key, all the code underneath this space key will run once. And if we hold the space key, everything under here will just continue running. So let's try and add our move 10 steps block underneath the space key and see what happens. So if we run it, nothing will happen because it's there's nothing underneath here. But let me press my space key. So right now I'm pressing my space key and the cat is moving forward. But if I want to make it move forward continuously, like this, just make it move straightly, I can press down, like hold down the space key until it reaches the end. Yeah. So just now, what I did was I held down my space key until the very end, and the move 10 steps block continuously ran. So, every time my space key is pressed, this cat will move a little bit to the right, just like that. Okay, but for the purposes of, let's say, a game, we often like to do like the move number of steps block, say like moving to the right. We like to press the arrow key instead of the space key. So now if I run it and I press down my right arrow key, this cat will move to the right. Okay, so now here's a challenge. Can you make the cat move left when you press the left arrow key? And again, raise your hand when you're done so we know when to continue, and we'll give you about 1 to 2 minutes for this. So just to repeat, can you make this cat move left when we press the left arrow key? And don't delete this. Keep it. Just add whatever you need to add to make it left. Okay, I think that's enough time. I'll show you guys the solution now. So to move the cat left, all we have to do is use the same 2 blocks that we have here. So when right arrow, when key pressed, except we change this to left arrow. And under the motion, we use the 10 steps. And since moving left is the same as moving backwards, all we need to do is make this a negative. So right now if you run your code and you press the right arrow, cat will still go to the right. If you press the left arrow, the cat will go in the opposite direction, to the left. Okay. Okay, does everyone get this? Okay, so the next block that we're going to learn is this block, change x by blank. So what x is basically horizontal, moving to the right or the left, which is what we've been doing before. But remember, like I said, if the cat isn't pointing to the right, let's say it's pointing up here, and I try to run the code, it goes like kind of diagonal. But what if you still wanted the cat to move to the right or the left and not in this weird diagonal motion? Then you can use the change x button. Basically what this does is that it changes this value right here. Let's say this was 0, x value was 0. And if I change x by 10, then that will make this x go up by 10, and it will just continuously go right by 10 left. But using this block, we can also make the cat move to the right when it's pointed in any direction. So let's try this code right now. So take underneath the right arrow key pressed, remove this move 10 steps block, just like slide it off, and then move this change x by 10 block into there. So now if I run it, the cat will still move towards the right even if the cat isn't pointed straight ahead. You can do the same for the left arrow key as well. So let's use the same block, the change x by, but let's change this by -10 this time. So if we try the code now, the cat moves to the right, so that's good. And the cat also moves to the left. Let's go a different direction to make sure this really works. Okay, yeah, so cat moves towards the right and towards the left. Now the difference with this is this code as compared to this code. Right now, if the cat were to move 10 steps when we press the right arrow, it would go like this direction, like this diagonal direction, which is more towards the left, and we don't want that right now. So now we have another challenge. So now we know how to move right and left using the change x by block. How can you try to make the cat move up and down? So up and down, this kind of motion, we give you a hint, that is the y coordinate. So the up and down movement is caused by the y coordinate. So see if that helps you when you're trying to solve this code. And when you're done, remember to raise your hand again.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you not connect two event blocks together?
No, you cannot.
So there can only be
So-
like one event block in one.
No, let's say you have this block. You can have multiple when green flag clicks. You can have multiple of these. You can do that. But you can't individually like connect these two together. Because you can't you can't connect them. See? It won't work when I try to connect them, right? Because that's because you can't have one block saying like when green flag clicked, and then the next sequence would be when green flag clicked. So that's a little bit repetitive. So if you wanted to have multiple, you could just put them separately, but you cannot stack them on top of each other.
Yeah, much better.
Oh my god.
This thing's working now. Finally.
Well, it's not.
Okay, I'm going to give everyone 30 more seconds to figure this code out. Okay, going to and show you the solution. So for moving up and down, we can still use the same event block as the when key press block. So for this one, I'll change it to up arrow, this one to down arrow. But instead of using this change X by block, how about we try and use the change Y by block? Okay. So by default, if we want to go higher, then we change X, then we change Y to positive 10, so we have positive 10. But if we want to go lower, towards the bottom of the screen, we can change Y by a negative number. So this is what your code should look like. So we have these 4 blocks. Okay, so the change X by blocks and also the change Y by blocks. So now if we test the code and we're moving up and down, cat moves up and down, and then right and left. So now we have a basic movement for our cat. So this is the very first steps to making the games that we're going to be trying in this Scratch course. So let me move this back to correction 90. And yeah. Okay, so now every time when we run this code, the cat just goes wherever it ended. So let's say the code ended here. This is where it's going to start for the next round. But what if I don't want it to start at, let's say, the very corner of every round? What if I wanted to have the cat start at the middle for each round? What block would I use? Okay, go Ruby. Okay, I guess.
You would use if on edge bounce. If on edge bounce. Uh-huh.
On edge bounce. Okay, but that's only if it's moving. So that's only if it's moving. It's only if it's moving that I would want this. But what I want the cat to do is, say right now the cat is in this corner, and I don't want it to start in the corner every time. I want it to start at, let's say, the center every time. Okay, Kristen. Okay, I don't think we could hear that. Could you type it in the chat? Okay, we want to give it a shot. Okay, so it looks like Kristen's typing in chat. Go to the motion section and get a go to X0 and Y0 block. Right, that's correct. So right now, we're in the motion tab. And if we look at the 5th block down, there's a go to X, Y block. So this is what we want. Okay, so what I want is every time that I press the green flag, I want the cat to start exactly in the middle. So the middle on this game area, that's just 0, 0. Okay, so that's the very center of the coordinate plane, and you can have the cat start anywhere you want it. So if you have a higher x value, right now we have a really high x value that will make the that will make the cat go to the right. And if you have a really low x value, see this is a negative value, it will make the cat move more towards the left. So if it's going more up, then the y value is higher. If it's going more down, y value is less. So you can change this to anything you want. So let's try our code right now that we have here. So right now, it's in the very corner. And if I press this green flag, the cat should move to the center. Okay, and so that worked. And I can do what I want with the cat. Say, move it to the very top, and press the green flag again, and it will go to the same spot as last time. Okay. So there's also another block here under motion. It's set x2 and set y2. This is pretty much the same thing as this, but it just separates them. So let's say if you wanted your cat to start the left side of the screen, but but you wanted the Y to change and not the X, then you can use the set to, and then same for the set X too. But for the purposes of what we're doing here, we just combine them and allow the cat to just go to the middle. So that uses less blocks of code than these 2 blocks of code. Okay, does everyone understand all the simple blocks that we've covered so far? Okay, so now we've completed a basic movement for our cat. Okay, so we have a basic movement for our cat, and we won't touch it right now. We won't touch it for a while. So let's go and create a new sprite. How about that? Okay, so down here, if we see this like sprite box, you see this like cat plus icon, you can choose a sprite. So hover over this and go to the second one, the one that says paint, and click on that. So what we can see here is kind of like a blank canvas. So this is what we're going to use to create our next sprite. So our next sprite is going to be a car. We already achieved the movement for the cat. So now let's create a car, okay? So to create my car, I'm going to first use a rectangle. I'm going to do a top view from the top, looking down on the car. So doing a top view, I'm just going to make a rectangle first. And then I want to center this rectangle so that every time I make it go to, let's say, 0, 0, it will go there. So you hover this cross over the center and it will kind of click in place. So that's the body of my car. Next, I'm going to create wheels for my car, and I'm going to make these wheels black. So I'm going to click on this square rectangle icon here, click on fill, this arrow, and move the very bottom one all the way to the left so that it's black. So then I'm just going to make wheels. Okay, now what I don't want to do is just make 4 wheels manually, because then all my wheels are going to be a different size, and I don't want that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is click on this and press Control C, Control V. And if you're on a MacBook, that's Command C, Command V. Okay, so I'm going to move this over here to align with this one. And now I want to create the same thing on the other side. So what I can do, click on both of these. Click on both of these, use this mouse icon. Let me do it again. Click on this mouse icon. Go like this, like stretch out over these two. Control C, and then now I can put about the same place as the other ones. So now we have a car. So is everyone caught up with making your car?
No.
Okay, I'll give you guys 30 more seconds to create your car, and then we'll move on. Okay, I'm going to move on now. If you haven't finished creating your card, you can come back to it later. Just make sure you have just like a rectangle shape on here. So next what we want to do to avoid confusion later, let's just name the sprite as car. Okay, so next to the cat sprite, click on the car sprite that you just created and rename it to car, C-A-R. Okay. Now I'm going back to the code. So first what we want to do is click on this cat and hide it because we don't really want to see it when we're testing code for our car. So let's just hide the cat over here. Under this show symbol here, the eye with like a dash to it. Now we can't see the cat anymore. And click on the car sprite again. So what we just did with the cat was we moved it up, down, left, right. But for a car, if you imagine a car, the car can't just move like to the right or to the left. Cars don't work like that. They have wheels, right? So they have to turn before moving a certain direction. So here's a challenge. How can you make the car, so the car has like its usual movements. How can you make the car move forward, move backwards, but also turn 15 degrees when you press like up, down, left, right arrows. So that's going to be your next challenge here. This is a bit difficult, so I'll give you about 3 minutes here to get this car to move in the movement of the car. So I want it to move forward, backward, and then make it turn right, and turn left. And a hint for this is to not use these change X by, change Y by blocks. Because remember, that only moves it up and down like this, and right. But what if the car is tilted this way? We can't have the car moving like this or like this, right? So find out how you can make the car turn and also move forward and backwards. Okay, because time is running out of it, and we still have one more Sprite left to go. I'm just going to show you the solution now. So this is our car. Let's just keep it in this direction right now. So we can go to the events block and pull out all of these when key pressed. And now instead of using this change X by and change Y by blocks, we can just use move 10 steps for moving up and down. So first let me change these up, down, right, and left. So for our up and down arrows, can make it move 10 steps and go forward, and then negative 10 steps to move backward. And for turning right and turning left, we have these turn by a certain number of degree blocks. We're just going to pull them up under here and make sure you keep track of the sign, like the direction of this block. So this is turning right, and the block just underneath that is turning left. So now if I test this code, so right now it's moving forward when I press the up key, moving backwards when I press the down arrow, and it's also moving right and left. So you might notice how this movement is a little bit clunky right now. Like a car doesn't drive this, it's like this awkwardly. We will fix all of this later, but for right now, this is the code that we have for our car. Does anyone have any more have any questions before we move on? Okay, Louis, did you have a question or? Oh, Lori?
I have a question.
Okay.
Like for these sprites, how do you like for example, when the car it goes to a specific place, it turns into the cat. Like how do you change sprites when they're moving?
What do you mean change sprites? Like if you wanted to change to the cat?
Oh, I think I know what she's talking about. So basically, she's just talking about when it's moving, it changes a costume. So, for example, if the cat, we have a walking cat, and then she's asking if it's possible to make it so that when she presses a right arrow, then the cat changes to costume too.
Now I mean it turns into a really different costume, like the flying cat, for example.
Yeah, you can do that. So right now, I'm going to go back to costume 1. Okay, and if you wanted to, say, press a key and then make this cat change costume, yeah, you can do that. So right now I have just one space key pressed, and I can go under looks, this purple one, and I can, you can either choose to switch costume to the next costume or to costume 2, or you can just press next costume to continue making it change costumes. So right now this cat is walking, and then I can make it run just by pressing the space key.
Okay.
Yeah, but we'll get more into all of these blocks later when we need it. But for right now, as we have about 10 minutes left, I'm going to introduce a new sprite to you, another one, but this time we aren't going to paint the sprite. This time, instead of painting, we're going to search for a sprite. So click choose a sprite, click hover over this, and click kind of this finder glass. And this will pull up a whole bunch of Scratch created sprites. But the one that we're going to use right now is the basketball. So just choose any ball, but I'm going to use the basketball right now. Let me hide the cat. So this is my basketball sprite. And what I want to do for this is, instead of using arrow keys, sometimes I want to use, say, my mouse or my touchpad to play a game. So I'm going to actually, we're not going to do that yet. First, we're going to learn about one control block. So for basketball, sometimes they can move really far. Let's say if you throw a basketball, it will keep on moving a certain way. So we can replicate that in Scratch by making it move, let's say, to the right all the way. So to do that, we can use the forever block. So if you go under control, the fifth one, and you bring out this forever block, this will make whatever's inside of this forever block go on basically forever. So what if I wanted to make this move to the right forever? I can just make it go 10 steps to the right forever. And if I add on my green flag, I can just click this, and as you see, my basketball will move to the right forever. Okay, so there's that. Now we're going to move on to the mouse following game. So here's probably going to be our last challenge for the day. So using this forever block, can you find another block under motion to make this basketball follow our mouse forever? So from the time I click start, it will continuously follow wherever my mouse goes. So try and add something into this loop and raise your hand when you're done. Okay, I'm going to go over the code right now. So, right now what our basketball does just goes towards the right forever. Okay, and under the motion, there's this block called point towards mouse pointer. Okay, so we're going to pull that out. So this block basically allows this the basketball to point in the direction of my mouse pointer, and this also lets it move wherever I want it to go. So let's press start and see if you see the basketball will move wherever I want it to move. But let's say I stop my mouse for a second. What happens? So let's say my basketball is moving and then I stop my mouse. So this motion happens. The basketball is vibrating because it's still trying to point towards my mouse pointer, and it's also trying to move 10 steps. And that's what creates this vibrating motion. But if you look at it from a gaming point, that doesn't look very pleasing, right? If it's constantly vibrating like this, yeah, we don't really want that. So to fix it, we're going to introduce another control block. So let's go down to the fifth category over here, the control. And we're going to use the if-else block. Okay, not the if block. So what we want this to do is that if our mouse is not touching the ball, then we want the basketball to move. We want the basketball to move with our mouse. But if it is touching the ball, let's say like this, we want the ball to stop. So let's go to sensing. Sensing, this is where you can sense that if the ball is touching something. And the first one under sensing is touching mouse pointer. So that's one of the ones that we want. And but if we put this here, it won't run. This thing won't run until we touch it. See, when my mouse is not touching it, then it just stays still. But if my mouse is touching it, then it's still doing the vibrating motion again. So that's not what we want right now. What we want is if it's not touching this mouse pointer. But luckily, under operators, we have something like that. So these hexagon blocks, they're called booleans, and they basically test that if the value inside is true or false. So if we move this out, this not touching mouse pointer block out, so if it is not touching the mouse pointer, then it will move. But if it is touching this mouse pointer, then it will not move. And when it is touching the mouse pointer, this boolean value, the hexagon shape, that is false because it is touching the mouse pointer, but we want it to move when it's not touching the mouse pointer. Okay, so now if we run it, this basketball will follow my mouse, right? But when it touches my mouse, it will just stop like this. Okay, so does everyone understand that? So remember this, the Boolean concept is really important. We will cover it more next time. But basically, this value, it only has two values. It can either be true or false. And if it's true, then the thing underneath or inside of your conditional, it will run. But if it's false, then whatever's under here will not run. It will just skip and go on to the next line of code. Okay, so it is now, we are done with the first section of our Scratch course today. So, what you guys need to do right now, is to make sure to save your project. Okay, if you remember going up to here, there should be a button over here that says Save Now. Mine already saved automatically, but let's say I bring out this block. See, now it says Save Now. So you want to click this before you leave your project page so that you don't lose your project. But if you weren't able to completely follow along with the course today, what you can also do is remix my project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually share my project. Share my project with everyone. So if you click on this link, let me this and if you click on this link and you're in a different account, there should be a green button somewhere over here that says remix. And what you can do with that is basically can remix it, and that makes a copy of my project in your own account. And that just allows you to code on top of that and make changes without making any changes to what I have over here. And also, if you didn't create a Scratch account before this class, make sure you do it before next week, next Monday, when you have the same class, because that will really help when you're coding. But if you didn't create an account for this time, I can teach you how to download this to your computer. So remember what we have over here on the top of the Scratch interface. We have the File button, and the last option here is a Save to your computer. So you want to click that, and I don't know if you can see down here, but it takes there's a download link, and I click that, and actually don't click that, but once you go into your files, once you go into your files over here, you can see that the class project that I just downloaded here is over here. And next time, if you want to open it, just go back to your account and once you have an account, go to your account and make sure you sign in. And then click on create, just create a new project like we did at the beginning of this class. And what you can do now is go to File and Load from your computer. You can see here, that's the project that we just saved. So if you click on that, it will upload the project to your screen. Okay, so does anyone have any more questions?
Well, teacher, I can't open the link in my computer.
Okay, if you can't open my project link,
Yes.
You should be able to open it. If it doesn't work for you, then maybe try copying the link and then pasting it into your browser. Okay, and other than that, if anyone else has any more questions, you can stay on, but the class is officially over. Our first session is officially over, so you can leave if you don't have any more questions. Okay, see you guys next week.
Okay, why don't me and you get into a breakout room quickly?
Okay. Yeah, Rebecca, were you able to open up the project? Okay, Louis and Rebecca, if you guys don't have any more questions, you're free to leave.
Okay, so I believe everybody is gone. So yeah, congrats on your first lesson, firstly. Just want to put that out there. Yeah. I think what I would do instead, like, would just be go a little bit faster. I think we went we did quite a lot of time. Also, I'm gonna have to figure out with the Cloud Classroom about the breakout rooms, because we definitely want to implement those at some point.
Yes.
And then
yeah.
I think other than that, we should be good. Just keep on the curriculum. Also, I would like to ask you about the assignments. So how exactly would you like the students to turn in their assignments? I don't believe we have a system for that.
Right. This time we didn't assign homework, but if we ever do assign homework, I think we'll just make them turn it in through either through like a Scratch Studio or just a Google form.
Okay, yeah, that would work. So we'll just, like the first 5 minutes of the class, if we have assigned homework, we'll just open up a Google form for them to submit their Scratch assignments through.
Right, or we can just send it out the previous meeting.
That would also work.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that we need to like go through?
I think that's it.
I think that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
If
So
we have anything else,
tomorrow.
we'll just email each
Yeah.
other. Yeah. Okay.
So tomorrow
Uh,
it's 1 o'clock, I think.
Yep. 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, that should work. Okay.
Okay. See you then.
Okay. See you. Also, congratulations.
Thank you. You too.